Hola, familia. It's your favorite Puerto Rican Brooklyn Philly here with another message. Um, I am not a tarot reader. I do not ascribe or subscribe to any labels put in any boxes. Um, I channel messages. That's it. It's that simple. And I believe that if you clicked on this video, you are meant to hear. And I heard clearly and distinctly, those who have ears to hear, listen. So the first messages that I channeled prior to pulling all of the cards that I'll lay out before you was the following. I heard in prayer, unlatch your sandals, for this is holy ground. And I literally had on sandals, not with latches, but that I needed to take off and place my feet on the wooden floor that I have. Then I heard the five senses: touch, taste, smell, see, hear. Then I heard seeds to be planted moving forward are of utmost importance to the future of generations, nations, systems, and planets. Do not be fooled. God is not mocked. That which you sowed, that shall you reap. No favorites. Law is law. Just is just. Mercy is mercy. And love is love. Balance is always required and sought to be rendered. Homeostasis, symbiosis, synergy, open systems are required to move forward. Bureaucracy, patriarchy, seek to close, steal, destroy creativity, freedom, liberty for all. Do not be fooled. God is not mocked. That which you sow, that you will reap. Be vigilant. Do not be deceived. You have all you need to perceive and proceed. Listen closely, child. For lo, I am with thee. I am always with thee. Do not pay back. Return to sender, and that is enough. Suffice. Render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Render to Allah what belongs to Allah. For it is written, those who have ears to hear, listen. Signs are all around you, always. Amen, Amin, and Ashe. Then I went back, and when I turned on my screensaver to dissect some of the messages, and also the rune card that was shuffled out and selected by Spirit, was a Toucan Sam. And I heard that old Toucan Sam, just follow your nose, it always knows. And right now there's literally chills vibrating up and down my spine, the back of my head, everywhere. There's something about tentacles, about sensation, about senses, about becoming attuned and familiar and allowing that flow. I'm hearing all of us have these capabilities. We all have ears to hear. Is whether or not we choose to listen, right? There's the distinction. Listen, Linda, listen, listen, Linda, right? Seeds, interesting. Thought of actual garden seeds, right, to be planted. So there's something about what you're about to sow, this correlation, and or what you have sown up to this point, or what you are sowing currently, right? Moving forward, again, it is of the utmost importance, right, for your future generations to come. The nations and the systems and the planets, all of it will impact. I'm hearing how, right? So my first question is how, God? How is what I'm little old me doing and my little seed that I'm planting, how would it impact nations, systems, and planets? Again, there's this focus on interconnection, that everything is connected. It literally is. Biologically, chemically, and atomically, we are all connected. Neil deGrasse Tyson, a quote, you can look it up. Biologically, atomically, and chemically, we are all connected to the planet, to the earth, to the universe, the stardust. Everything is interconnected. And yes, it was on a cartoon like Curious George, one of his episodes where his little sailboat fell into the sewer drain, and they gave you the whole explanation of how things that, you know, can be trash that can be thrown in the sewer drain here can affect and impact a whole another continent somewhere else. So there's this big focus also on understanding that things are microscopic, that small with you, but then that large and macro, on a macro level, impactful at the same time. It's interesting that I'm talking about seeds and reaping and sowing and earth seeds and how it's all interconnected, and there was some bibliomancy that I'll pull up soon, I guess, when I'm led, that I took from this book called The Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, and basically is a religion, a fictitious religion called Earthseed, that a young lady, a young girl, 15-year-old at that, Lauren, creates a new religion, right? And it's called Earthseed. And there's a quote that I was led to in there. I'm hearing do it now. Okay, and the quote was, "We are Earthseed, the life that perceives itself changing." And I just burped confirmation. That's like, for me, that's confirmation from my ancestors. So there's definitely this emphasis on change, but this ever changing, right? Which leads right into here. Balance is always required and sought to be rendered. Homeostasis, right? Which is a self-regulating a process that occurs, that we, you know, kind of like, I'm just hearing like the GPS, we keep rerouting, right? In order to survive, in order to exist, in order to continue, right? As living organisms, right? We're always seeking homeostasis, right? Then symbiosis, right? One living thing then connecting to another living thing, so that then both of them collectively could work, and then synergy. I am like, so like the chills are just like going up and down my body right now. I promise you, I'm trying to stay grounded. And they're saying back up. So back to the senses, they're saying a sense is a biological system used by an organism for sensation. The process of gathering information about the surroundings through the detection of stimuli, right? So there's this sensing of change, right? These seeds that are being planted, and the way to plant them and how to plant them moving forward is very important, I'm hearing, moving forward. And it will be based in, or the part of the foundation that will be intrinsic and important would be to listen to this sensations from these senses, right? To detect, right? Homeostasis is a self-regulating process by which biological systems tend to maintain stability while adjusting to conditions that are optimal for survival. That's literally like part of what this book, what she's talking about in her new religion, Earthseed. She's talking about a God that is constantly changing, right? And that, hold on, I have it here. Earthseed is a fictitious religion based on the idea that God is change. It is the creation of Octavia Butler, right? But she's talking about that because God is change, humans are able to direct God's malleability, right? Believers are enjoined to shape God by shaping themselves, right? So this concept of, like, you know, inner divinity, this concept of going back to like that Curious Georgia, this oneness, and how it is all impacting and changing one another. And there seems to be this contrast in her book, and in the channeling that I got, and in the cards, I'm assuming it's going to come out based on what has come out so far, of this contrast between, and then she calls her book, like the book of the living, which is contrasting the book of the dead or of the past. The book of the living, which would mean the present and the future, right? That is malleable and changeable, right? And that is self-directed by human beings and in joining with God and divinity itself. Oh God, those who have ears to hear, listen. So it's contrasting like these, because it goes on to say, I'm jumping back and forth, help me, Spirit. Because we said bureaucracy, patriarchy, right? So what is a bureaucracy, right? It relies on rules, on hierarchy, on procedures, right? And not that any of those things in and of themselves are bad, but there tends to be, when that's the focus, a sense of rigidity, right? There's no room for change or malleability, and that's what she claims in her novel, that the like the Abrahamic faiths and the religion is based on past traditions and things of that nature that don't change. And if they don't change, then they are not malleable and meet the needs of the present and of the future. They stay stuck in these systemic roles, right? And now I'm thinking of like Isa alayhi salam, or Jesus, or Yeshua, however you want to identify him, where he rebuked the person when he said, so you're gonna leave the donkey, I think it was a mule or donkey, that fell in a ditch, and they were like, well, it's the Sabbath, we can't get him out, right? So because of the rule, you subject, so there's something about rules becoming more important than humans, than living organisms. Like, I'm hearing, where the F we do that at? You know what I'm saying? Oh God. So we have this homeostasis, right? That we were just talking about. Go back. So it is this self-regulating process, right? So self-regulate, that means I'm in control. I'm responsible. I'm accountable for myself, right? This self-regulating, but it's to maintain stability while adjusting to conditions that are optimal for survival. If homeostasis is successful, life continues. If unsuccessful, disaster or death ensues, right? Then we go into symbiosis, which is a relationship or interaction between two different organisms that share similar habits. So it's like a progression, right? Again, this change, this flow. But in order for that to happen, right, it's contrast. It's like I'm hearing, like compare and contrast to rigidity, stagnancy, past, remaining stuck. And again, okay, they said just keep going. So now we have a relationship, right? So one organism that is being responsible and accountable for its homeostasis, right? And then another one, and the two shall become one, I just heard, creating a symbiosis, a relationship, an interaction, because they share similar habitat and both want to survive, right? Both, that should be the ultimate goal, right? And it's like this symbiosis is a good thing, and it'll be dependent on how they treat one another, right? Because we don't want parasitism when one organism benefits and the other is harmed, right? Which seems to be what they're contrasting, what Spirit is saying is like currently happening now, where there is because I even heard it, I've heard the term selfishly motivated. I've heard the term like self-interest is a good thing, right? I heard this young man, Anaki, I think as he said in his YouTube channel, where he says he got it from John Ron, this speaker, where, and I agree with this aspect where I do want to come into relationship with people who are accountable, who are able to self-regulate, who are able to be accountable for themselves. That way I don't have to be accountable for them. So now if I'm accountable for myself and you're accountable for yourself and you're taking care and self-regulating yourself and I'm taking it now, and that is the best way we can help each other, because now I'm not draining your resources, you're not draining, we're coming both to this on good, solid ground, and then now we can interact on this level, you know what I mean, more productively, and but there's this sense of parasiticism where, no, I'm selfish, right? And not just selfishly motivated, in that way, but selfish where there's this greed where I care more about myself and don't, even at the detriment of you, right? And which brought me to, thank you, Spirit, they're telling me to bring out the 48 laws of power. And when I flipped through bibliomancy for this one, it brought me to the 23rd law, right? Which is the creating 23rd. I apologize. This was the law the other day. So I flipped to, I apologize, guys, to this one, the 23rd law. I held it with this receipt. So it's the 23rd law, concentrate your focus, right? That was the 23rd law in this law of power. It brought me actually to this page where it gave me this little rendering of the goose and the horse, and they had a debate on who was better. But then the law itself wasn't clicking because it was talking about intensity more than extensity, perfection, about quality versus quantity, and really honing in and focusing on one thing as opposed to putting your finger in all the the pie and then not having any. But the reversal was true this time. What Spirit was talking about was the reversal and the dangers of just concentrating on one thing, on just being so focused, on being too single-minded in purpose can make you an intolerable bore, especially in the arts. But there was something else. So they gave the example of Cesare Borgia, who derived his power from his father, and when his father died, he was as good as dead, because all his I'm hearing all his eggs were in that one basket, and once that one basket was eliminated, so was he. And because of all the wars he waged and everything while his father was in power, when his father died, he created all these enemies. He didn't have anyone to back him now, right? And there was these stories about going into war, and I mean, you can read it for yourself, but such a move would especially be prudent in periods of great tumult and violent change, or when your enemies are numerous. And what he's saying here is the move here would be that in cases where you may need protection, then it is often wise to entwine yourself around several sources of power. So it's the reversal of the rule here. Instead of, it would behoove you to, have your finger in different pots or whatever the saying, a hand in different pots. And even, he suggests you can even use one opponent against another if you have multiple opponents to play with like that. But there's this sense of not being so self-centered or self-focused on one thing that you miss the greater picture. You miss the macro, right? It's so much bigger. I hope I'm explaining that. Spirit, I hope I'm doing justice to you because I feel it in my spirit and I know it, and I'm trying my best to, all the words are just like coming out, and I'm trying my best to make it make sense, right? Let the math do the math. But bureaucracy and then so the symbiosis, then it went to synergy. Well, then what is synergy then? So synergy is the interaction or cooperation of two or more organizations, substances, or other agents to produce a combined effort greater than the sum of their separate parts. So here we, again, is this movement when I'm good, okay. Now, since I'm good, I can go to a second person. You good? Yeah. I'm good? Yeah. We both good. Oh, okay. Now, since both of us good, now we can create this synergy where it's some of the parts, right? But we're looking for the greater good, right? As opposed to what the sum of one can do by itself, which can be great things. I'm not saying that one single mind focus can, but look at the power that it can when the sum of when all of those parts come together in a combined effort, right? Yeah, there's something there. This is what Spirit is talking about, this oneness, right? And it was clear, the message, that this sense of bureaucracy, which Spirit had me go there. Bureaucracy is a form of organization that has a hierarchy of authority, a division of labor, explicit rules, and impersonality. Excuse me. But there was something else that was pointed out. So it's not so much, I don't want to get into it because, you know, for those who know about Max Weber and social, that's not what I'm getting into. There was this emphasis on a hierarchy of authority and the division, right? And then the explicit rules, right? Like this intense. And again, not that there's anything wrong. I'm not saying chaos, right? We need rules. Rules are needed. But when they're so fixed, right, that there's no room for malleability, for change, for transformation, for growth, right? That's why, where did he say balance? Did she say? We talked about balance. They're not before required. Balance is always required and sought to be rendered, right? That's what this whole homeostasis, symbiosis, synergy, open systems, right? Open system versus closed system. A closed system is closed. Yes, it can't receive and it won't give either. It's a closed system. That system thinking analogy. Oh God. So there was this message that Spirit is saying, that this sense of bureaucracy, this sense of patriarchy, right? So it did go there with patriarchy, is a social system in which positions of dominance and privilege are held by men, right? Yeah, there's something there about that, you know. Not that I'm a woman, not that I wanted to bring it up, but there is, like, I'm hearing is calling out the reality, right? That these bureaucracy, these systems, these closed systems have been primarily impacted and ran by a patriarchal, you know, mindset. And unfortunately, this patriarchy seeks, whether it is doing it intentionally or not, seeks to close things, right? To steal, to destroy creativity, freedom, liberty for all. Then it goes, do not be fooled. God is not mocked. That which you sow, that you will reap, right? And I kept thinking, well, what do you mean? Why? How could God be mocked? But that's literally what it's saying. That don't think, you know, like back here, law is law. Like, you know, the law of gravity is the law of gravity. I throw this up, it's going to go down. There's no changing that, right? So if you sow an apple tree seed, you're going to reap apples. You sow oranges, you're going to, you know, what you sow is what you will reap. You know, whether you believe in a God or not, that cannot be mocked, right? That is just the plain reality. And then it's like a warning or a heeding, like to be vigilant. Do not be deceived. You have all you need to perceive and proceed. So there's this calling for you to once again go back to these senses, to this sense of intuition that we all have. This whole chosen, some are psychic, some are mediums. Listen, if you have ears, you can listen, you can hear, right? No disrespect to my non-auditory brothers and sisters, but it's just the example that's being set up, for this message. But meaning, but it touched upon all these senses here, right? And utilizing them, as your stimuli to sense, right? To see, and then to can't say just follow your nose, right? To give you this sense of direction, right? And that you have it, right? You will know if you listen, right? And it's not necessarily an ear of like literally auditory, this sense of intuition, right? We tend to be so into the headspace sometimes, and logic and reason, which is, I'm not saying that is not a good thing. That's what separates us, right, from the plants and the animals. We want that, right? But when again there's no balance, when it's superimposed and it's just from that perspective, we're missing something. We're messing with this thing called freedom, liberty. Like, it lacks creativity. One of the things that the reversal of the law pointed out was that finally being too single-minded in purpose can make you an intolerable bore. I read that. The Renaissance painter Paolo Uccello was so obsessed with perspective that his paintings look lifeless and contrived, whereas Leonardo da Vinci interested himself in everything: architecture, painting, warfare, sculpture, mechanics. Diffusion was the source of his power, but such genius is rare, and the rest of us are better off erring on the side of intensity. That's his opinion, right? The author, Robert Greene. But I've often been mocked for that. Something of something and master of none, trade of something and master of none. But I guess I've been a genius about it, right? Because not everybody, or whatever. I don't know if that applies to everybody, but there is something about, and I don't know, maybe that's a fear. I just heard like a fear-mongering tactic. Because again, if we tap in, right? I'm thinking about individuals like, I just heard like a Beyonce, interesting enough, when I look at Wunjo, right? This performer. How throughout the last 20 years, B's been performing since when? Beyonce. She's been I haven't even gotten into the card yet, right? She rose to fame in the late 1990s. So if we're in 1990 and now we're in 2024, at least 20 years, let's give her, right? In this industry, and this young lady who is now this grown woman has consistently transformed and evolved and has remained relevant. So there is this ability to do that, right? And I don't think that it's just some people. I think that there's an array of variables that play into that, but the capacity for all humans to be able to tap into that. All right, that's my tangent now. Need to proceed. Listen closely, child, for lo, I am always with thee. So there's this sense and reassurance too that although you may walk alone, right, in this perspective, because we understand that the majority, have bought into this patriarchy system, this bureaucracy, right? These 48 laws of power. Now I'm hearing Rhapsody where she says, I never read the 48 laws of power. My PUSSY was the power, right? Made my dad cry when I came out, right? Like, she's giving homage to the womb. And that's a whole nother. But, right, there's this contrast between these two perspectives, which is interesting because then he Spirit goes on to say, do not pay back, right? So like, don't take like revenge into your own hands. And when I heard return to sender, I literally felt like, I've heard people say that, oh, if you F with me, then I'm gonna send it back to you ×3. And listen, you can do what you want to. You grown or you're not. I hope you grown if you're listening to this message, because it ain't for underage people. But I don't ascribe to such a way of thinking, because if you sent it to me 1 × 1 and now I'm sending it to you ×3, that means I 2-upped you, and then I'm gonna have to reap the karma back from those other 2, because so I don't want that back. I saw a boomerang just now, right? Again, going back to do not be fooled, right? God is not mocked. That which you sow, that shall you reap. So, in my mind, I'm like, make the math make sense. If you sent it to me 1 and I send it back to you 3, that means I sent you 2 more than the 1 you sent me. Then that 2 got to come back eventually back to me. I don't want it. So return to sender, I heard, and that is enough, suffice, right? It says it right there. And that is enough. That is suffice. Then it goes on to say, render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Render to, here is interesting, instead of saying God, which is the English word, Allah means God in Arabic. Allah is not just the Muslim or Islamic God. If you go to Cairo, Egypt, and you enter a Coptic church there, a Coptic Christian church, when they're reading the Bible in Arabic, their word for God is Allah. Let's please remain educated. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what the word, interestingly enough, wanted to be used here. That's what I heard from Spirit. So that's for somebody. Somebody needed to hear that. One of the ways this is normally interpreted is Caesar and taxes and, follow the rules and, go back to the bureaucracy and the patriarch, the way that they, give that what is due. That's what God wants you to do. I'm hearing like that's that slave mentality. Like back in slavery, when they would say, those scriptures you would utilize on slaves, be faithful to your masters. It's like this, where the F we doing that at? No, it's this, is this, I just heard discourse, this, why can't I, what is the Spirit? What are you trying to say? Buffoonery. I just heard that is the mockery. That is mocking that, you know what I mean? Because where do you do that at, right? Where is in human, right? How is it that one human would be master over another human and treat that other human in such a, devaluing, effed up way? Where do you do? No, you can never make that make sense, right? There's no way to make that make sense, right? So, but it's interesting because it took me to an article where basically it was indicating, based on just quick note here. I went to seminary to understand the Bible, and one of the things interesting, my dog started barking, and I had a motorcycle. And one of the things that you're taught in seminary automatically is to put things back into context, right? You can't just take this scripture and, run with it without understanding that this was set at a certain time in history. Excuse me one second. Go lay down. It was set at a certain time in history, and it was set to a specific audience. And so it meant something different than the way we want to interpret it today in our own. So basically, if you would have understood that it's using that Jesus being a Jewish man at that time, if that's what you ascribe and believe, right, that then his audience would be Jewish as well for the most part. His antagonizers who were asking him a question to try to ensnare him, trip him up. His haters was trying to, get him locked up, okey doke him, set him up by getting him to, incriminate himself rather than pleading the fifth, right? But he's so smart, he didn't have to plead the fifth. He knew, he was learned in rabbinic study where rabbis would know that, you would answer a question with a question, and that question would answer the answer, but then pose another question. It's like a school of thought that they would do, and they would be taught to do. And basically, it's really by him answering that way, he's really saying, okay, yeah, who's on the coin? Caesar. So that's Caesar. But who do you belong to? Who, and is referring back to scriptures like Genesis 1:26, where it claims that if you subscribe to that book called the Bible and Christianity, that you were made in the likeness and image of God, and to Exodus, where it's saying a sign on your hand and as a memorial between your eyes, that the law of the Lord may be in your mouth, which is saying, well, you owe everything to God. You are of God. You're made in God's image. So if you're going to give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God, well, you do the math there, because your very being, your very likeness belongs to God, right? So his point is really saying there to render yourselves to God. When it comes to what people owe God, Jesus is saying we are all in the very highest tax bracket, if it's like that, because everything, our very being belongs to that, if that's what you ascribe to. So, and then it goes into, for it is written, those who have ears to hear, listen. And then it ends in, signs are all around you always, right? And when I hear things like that, I also think of the Quran, where it talks, there's an ayat that says that, pay attention, the signs are all around you. And it's usually interpreted to mean like the signs, like the sunflower, the bumblebee, the plants, the animals, everything, like these laws that law is law, right? When you're saying back here, right? You can't change that, right? Like gravity or, or whatever. These signs of how nature works and how things work are all around you. Pay attention, right? But then there was also this this sense of again, you being guided, right? Whether you believe in divinity, whether you believe in ancestral veneration, spirit guides, angels, whatever your belief is, pay attention to the signs, to the downloads that you're being given, right? Again, as it said a little earlier here, you have all you need to perceive and proceed, right? For lo, I am always with thee, right? That's a lot, right? That was a lot to channel. If you're still with me, congratulations, I guess. I don't know. I'm just going to be obedient to spirit and move as I'm being told to move. And this is the message, right? This is the message so far. So then when I pulled the cards, the card that seemed to be the driving force, interestingly enough, is this Chariot card, right? And the Chariot is usually interpreted as a moving forward and balance, right? Although this card usually strikes me a little interesting because it's the Chariot, which would mean it's supposed to go really fast normally in the Rider-Waite Smith. It's a chariot and it's two horses and they're moving forward. Black and white, representing light and shadow, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, balance, right? And decision was made and off. But it's a snail here. It is definitely a snail there. And as you can see, and a snail is not very fast, right? So whenever I see this card now, I think of like government or systems, right? Or even change in the mind for us, right? Once we're on her program to operate a certain way, right? You have to unload or delete or replace that operating system and upload a new one, right? To change behaviors, patterns, thoughts patterns, beliefs, paradigms need to collapse, need to fall in order to replace them, right? And a lot of the time that takes time, right? It's not always a 1, 2, 3 process. It took you years to believe which, or it was years that you believed what you believed. So but what I find fascinating about this card is that, again, it is making this emphasis of how it's happening here in the mind first, right? So it's clear it had to happen here in order for her to begin this journey and proceed moving forward. And yeah, it may be a slow process, but there's a saying, something like the wheels of government turn slowly or something like that. But nevertheless, they're turning. She has begun the process. So there's something about the process has begun. And then again, if we're talking about channeling this message, and there's talking about moving forward, these seeds need to be planted, right? And really be thought about what these seeds are going to, and really concentrating on this homeostasis, this symbiosis, this synergy, these open systems that are required to move forward. It is really then debunking or collapsing these old structures to allow for these new structures to come in, right? It really is. I mean, I'm hearing that now. Like, I can see the correlation there and what it would be, referring to. Bottom of the deck energy is this 3 of Swords, right? And I just heard usually what, for most of us, and it's again this swirl, right? This, like in her head here, like this descent, this, the stimuli or the force, right? Isn't that Newton's law that says for certain change to come, a force that comes usually is heartbreak, right? Heartbreak is a powerful force that can cause one to begin to self-reflect and to look at, as a result of this heartbreak, what needs to change, right? And this was a very painful one. I mean, this brother here is crying tears of blood, right? Interesting, like Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, right? It said in the Garden of Gethsemane, and that looks like, right, cried blood, right? The sweat was so, the anxiety was so intense that they said it was blood tears. Whether that scientifically can be proven or not, some claim it can't. I'm not getting into that debate. But that's what the scripture says about the Garden of Gethsemane, knowing that this plight is upon him, what he's about to endure. So there's something there, right? That there's this sense of heartache that possibly could have occurred for you that is causing this shift, this change in your mindset, moving forward, that is directing you to pay more attention to the heart and not just the mind, to pay more attention to the senses before you get involved in relationships or jobs or careers or any kind of systems that without such feeling through, without understanding that, are you getting into symbiotic relationships with people who are self-regulating and homeostasis that also are looking to create synergistic opportunities and open systems? Or are you moving into with people who aren't able and aren't there? And then if so, I mean, heartache, is inevitable, right? So for some, this has already happened, and this is what began that chariot experience. Yeah. Then we have this 9 of Cups, 6 of Cups, and then 7 of Cups. She's very poised. I don't know, very armored up. 9 of Cups. And it's sad because when I first pulled it, there was a thought that came to mind, and now I can't specifically remember. But 9 of Cups is like our heart's desire, you know, our accomplishments, what we desired, right? Our accomplishments. Yeah, and she's proudly displaying them in a fan like, you know what I mean? I don't know, there's something about her regality, her poise. It's very picturesque. I don't know, it's almost like, is it constructed? You know, kind of like the way one would construct the scenery, right? I put the little sunflowers there, the little bumblebee, right? Like orchestrated. And what I'm hearing is almost like this is what's being displayed to the world, right? And yeah, great. You've accomplished these things, and maybe by utilizing these bureaucratic, patriarchal systems to your advantage, because she's a female, but she also looks very, I don't know, now I heard Alice in Wonderland, that newer one where, you know, but then there's this sense of nostalgia, looking at her childhood. And then there was this something with this 7 of Cups, and yeah, that's what I heard, is something about like a childhood dream, right? A childhood wish, right? And maybe a literal wish you made as a child. So although you may have come to these accomplishments and you stand here in this 9 of Cups, there's something about this nostalgic childhood, right? And maybe for some, 3 stages, right? Your toddler stage, your tween stage, and then your adolescent stage. And I don't know, now these balloons look like every time at each stage you released some childhood dream, some childhood wish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right, because it's the 6 of Cups, and then there's 7 stars. But she said, I don't know, I picked that one. I choose that one. Right? Now I'm seeing almost like this is the 3D, but this is the 5D, right? This is in the living state, but this is in the dream state. And you know, this is what I truly want. Interesting. What is it, my rub? What are you trying to tell? Yeah. And on this 9 of Cups that looks so picturesque, right? So, I don't know. I just heard for the gram, right? Perfect for the gram. But underneath, there's really this. Or to get here was at the expense of this here. I hear you, Lord. Here, when I was channeling, I was reminded of my thoughts this morning on my morning walk. I didn't think that they were applicable here, but maybe they are. I was really having this battle between side hustle and passivity, right? Well, really hustle and passive, right? Comparing and contrasting these two, right? And I was actually, okay, they're saying be vulnerable. I was actually venting to someone how, you know, when you begin to research like becoming a YouTube content creator, and you start getting into like, well, what are shorts and what are the different platforms and what do you need to do? And then all these videos tell you do this, do that. And then, excuse me, I needed to drink some water. It just started hurting my head, and it started making me feel sick to my stomach, because then I started thinking, well, that seems like if in order to get into that and to be that, I'll be getting myself back into another rat race, right? And then I thought of the term side hustle, and I'm thinking, well, I'm saying it's just another side hustle. So it's another hustle. It's just on the side. On the side of what? On the side of the already hustle I have, on the already 9 to 5 that I'm holding. And then it's like, well, make that make sense. That don't make sense to me. So I'm complaining that this hustle, this 9 to 5 grind, has me here feeling like this 10 of wands. But then I'm saying the solution is this side hustle. That is another hustle, right? And I'm trying to escape this hustle by saying F the hustle culture, F chasing the bag, all of that. I no longer wants to be a part of that. But if I join this whole, again, just to like use as an example, content creator, like whole phenomenon, or entrepreneur, self, what do they call it? Becoming an entrepreneur, then that might spiral me into a whole nother, right? Because if we're just taking like becoming interesting, becoming like visible on like social media platforms and things of that nature, then I'm thinking of when I listen to some of these young people doing these videos, they're talking about like they got to do like 10 videos a day, or minimum 3 platforms. You constantly got to produce. So now, I'm a mom, so I tease my adult children and I say, this generation, the only thing left to do is take pictures of his poop and put filters on it and place it, because they take pictures of everything. If they go to dinner, they're taking picture of the dinner plate and the drink. If they go out, like, do you just enjoy the drink and the dinner and the conversation with the people that you are with? How can you really say you do that if every 5 minutes you're posing for the gram, or you're taking a pic, or you're doing a video, or you do some type of TikTok, or what do you call that? The little video that goes in and out. I don't know all the lingo, but the point is that sounds exhausting as F to me. It sounds like getting back into that hustle culture, and that's what I don't want moving forward. And I was proclaiming this morning to someone who was in their 20s, like, I'm half a century now, pushing half a century. Like, I need passivity. I need ways to make passive income where less energy, less exertion. Like, I want to take walks in the park and commune with nature. I F's with birds. I like to talk to birds and shit. I like to watch the butterflies and look at the lakes and the rivers and the little turtles swimming in there and the doves. And I like to go to the beach, and I love to play with my puppy and take walks with him now. That's my homie. And this 9 to 5 is not affording me the possibility of doing that to a certain extent. So society is telling me, well, create a side hustle or some type of entrepreneurial that will. But those ones seem to be just as erratic or chaotic or bounding or heavy. Look, bag lady, you gonna miss your bus, carrying all those bags like that. And I just heard you gonna break your back. So pack light. I want to pack light. You know what I'm saying? I don't care whether it's a Gucci, Uchi, Louis, Dewey. I'm not worried about that. I just need it to be light, right? So there's something about that, right? There's this contrast there. I'll go down. Yeah, I'll do it now. They're saying do it now. Like, if we was just going down the row, this one row, we have her posing for the gram, but deep down inside, she exhausted as F. And it's like she was a fool. She was like, don't go down that road thinking that, you know, that's going to be the solving of the problem. You have to look to another way, right? And that was maybe a whole side. I don't know. Let's keep going. So there's this 10 of Wands, clearly. And I don't know, the 10 is supposed to mean cycles completed, closing it, right? Like you're done, like I'm done. But this have for picking another flower. Like, make it make sense. And her dress is filled with flowers. But she a flower picking A. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's hurting my head literally right now, I promise you. Like, I want to like just fling them off her back and tell her sit up. Like, my back hurting looking at her back. Then we get the Lovers, which is for some a choice, right? So maybe it's about a choice, making a choice, right? And it does fall on top of this nostalgia card. So maybe making his choice to maybe revisit this childhood dream, right? And re-encountering it, whatever it is. I don't know, but he looked like, well, first he looked like the penguin from Batman. I'm not gonna lie. But then he also looks like, you know, like he bougie, like he rich, like, you know what I mean? Like there's paper there. So I don't know. Was your childhood dream was to find a sugar daddy or boo? Think to take care of that? You know what I'm saying? And y'all, that's y'all symbiosis, right? Relationship, symbiotic relationship. I don't know. And or maybe it's just, again, moving away from this burden of trying to carry everybody else's other ish to move into choosing self, right? And balancing. We were talking about balance here and symbiosis and homeostasis and self-regulating, all that. Getting back to self, right? Aligning your yin and yang, your masculine and feminine, your light and shadow, right? And becoming one with that. Yeah, look. It's Three of Pentacles, a collaboration to build together. 3, right? So we went from homeostasis to symbiosis to synergy, right? The total of the different parts coming together for the goodness of the one, right? For the goodness of the whole, right? Whether that's yourself, your whole self, which makes sense because it goes back to that point. If I'm good, then I can be good to others. You know, I always use that example of the airplane. They clearly tell you on the airplane, they say, if we get into something, the mask drop, please put your mask on first. Not on your baby, not on your boo, on you first. And you have more of a chance to survive and to be able to help others. But if you sitting here scrambling, trying to put the mask on your baby, you and your baby might die. Yeah, my dog said yeah. So there's something about, this collaboration, right? I just heard F that hustle culture. F that chase. Listen, and do what you want to do. Because I told the 20-something-year-old I was talking to this morning, I let her know, listen, when you young, that young, in my 20s, if they had showed me this whole gram and content creation, man, I'd have ate it up back then. Because I was young. Energized. And I know I can hear people say, oh, I'm in my 50s too, and I could listen. If that's what I'm not trying to tell nobody what to do. I can never. Who am I? I am the first one that would declare to you, please do what is best for you. I am the one to declare F the rules, F this, F what society is telling you to do, F the norms or whatever. You have to be true to you. You have to live with you. You have to lay your head on your pillow at night. You have to die by yourself. You was born by yourself unless you were twin or quintuplet or something like that. All of that is you at the end of the day. What I'm saying is what's best for me is I don't want no parts of that. No, I don't. You know, I'm doing these videos, but because this is me. I like to channel. I like to share information. I like to share things that I think would be helpful. It's cathartic for me, and I believe the beauty of it is that there's a win-win. Not only do I win by sharing it and releasing all, and hopefully gifting back this, but then hopefully other people are learning as well. But I'm okay at this pace with this right here. But trying to do a short every 5 minutes and trying to fly here and everywhere I walk and everywhere I do is a video, I'm good. That's not for me. And yes, I used to be this person right here trying to do everything and be everything for everyone. And it's tiresome. And it left me broke, busted, and disgusted. I promise you. I don't know about other people. I can only speak for what it did for me. It was no bueno for me. And now I want to be more in a receptive mode. I want to embrace my femininity, my sensuality again, not see it as such a bad thing. I want to cooperate with and collaborate with others. I want to be able to understand that it is not a weakness to ask for help and to receive. That is not just good to give. Right? So there's this something about do not be deceived. Do not go back into, right? Because it's saying like you're just swapping one demon for another. Like, Look at that. And that's 3 arcana, major arcana back to back. They're saying verily, verily. For real, for sure. Listen, those who have ears to hear, listen. Don't be foolish. Get wrapped up in this bullshit again. Deceit, like, what a wet tangle web we weave. And get wrapped up in this whole tradition thing again, right? And these past periodic systems that are closed, man, that are of the past, that aren't leading you to no fruitfulness nowhere. Right? Be wise. Listen to the owl. You done learned some shit. Pay attention. Go lay down. Okay. I'm going to leave that there because I feel like now I'm just, and I'm not mad at nobody. I'm just sharing what I'm hearing. Okay? So then I wanted to ask, well, in love, what do we see, or, what other messages or whatever. So I pulled some oracle cards to kind of see, and I asked about love, but nothing about love necessarily came out. This was very self-focused, again, kind of like on that homeostasis, on a self-regulate, like something about self-accountability, working on self, doing that for self first in order to then be able to move into these others. So look, pay attention to the signs, right? Interesting. And then there's something about the nighttime. You're getting downloads. Maybe it's your dreams. Keep a dream journal. You're being shared. Things are being shared to you by your divinity, ancestors, your highest self. Call it what you want to call it, okay? But there's this wisdom that's being imparted upon you. Pay attention, right? They're there. You are getting this assistance from above. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, God. I bless your holy name. There's none like you. Oh, mama. Right? Yes. Remember, for lo, I am with thee always, I heard, right? I just heard somebody's grandmother saying that. Oh, I just got chills. Look. Right? My condolences. Right? And I just said that, in your dreams, right? Keep a dream journal. There's something happening in your dreams. There's downloads. The year of the tiger is important for some people who are born the year of the tiger. Look that up, right? Or just the totem animal tiger. There's something about those animal spirits, both the owl and the tiger. They may be working with you, walking. And look up something to do with the crocodile. Again, it's trying to ensnare you. Something like what they tried to do to Isa alayhi salam, to Jesus, when they would pose little questions to him to try to trip him up. So be mindful of that, right? Do not be deceived. You know what I'm saying? Don't let them trip you up. You know what I mean? Don't fall for the okie doke, right? You are wiser than that. You're wiser than that. You know, you got the lowdown already, right? Remember, it said it. You already have what you need to perceive and to proceed, right? Okay. Then I pulled from three more, another deck of like finances, career, and stuff like that. And you know, don't get scared, but job loss, termination of employment. For some, it may be impending. For some, it may be already happened. And for some, it's saying, look, I just, right, since we're talking about, since Spirit came through real big on this whole 9 to 5 versus entrepreneurship and hustle being hustle and dependent. So, you know, maybe it's not literally talking about a literal loss of a termination of employment, but rather of looking at the paradigm of employment, of that type of employment that is all hustle, hustle, hustle. You know, how can you create maybe more ways of passive income, like through ebooks or PDFs that are either, you know, or you know, resources that you can put out that people could buy and you can make money while you're sleeping, right? Pre-recorded workshops or something like that, right? Where you're not overexerting your energy. You know, there's some people who could work 8 hours a week and in those 8 hours make what you can make in a week now, right? I don't know exactly how to do it. I'm trying to figure this ish out, but they're saying think bigger, right? That you will get the help from the above. Pay attention to the signs. They are telling you how to do it, and most of it is coming in through your dreams and to follow your dreams. Look at this. Remember, it was going back to the nostalgia about following your dream, your wish. I'm wishing on a star to follow where you are. I know I can't sing, but now here, when you wish upon a star, right? That whole Disney, right? That childhood. Yeah, something about a childhood dream. And that could be it, right? That then not forces you, but then calls you to leave this type of employment when you start chasing your childhood dream again, right? And it's saying, yeah, because the way you're looking at employment and money and that whole paradigm and that whole hustle culture and chase the bag and yeah, it's toxic, man. Look, it's killing you. You got to throw in a mask. It's killing you. Astaghfirullah. It's killing you. Right? It's toxic. Yeah. We're going to find, look, and it fell under this category. New assets, new ways. Hey, I just heard it's 7 p.m. Friday and it's 95 degrees. I ain't got no ninja. Ain't no ninja. Ain't got me. Hey, I'm about to show my gorilla. Hey, some new way of doing things, right? Right? I don't know. But yeah, new assets, allowing new things to come in. Right? And it don't have to be based on those old paradigms or beliefs, right? Maybe that's why no whole love thing came out here. Other than this one, the Lover's card. But again, usually the Lovers can also be interpreted as a choice. And then a beautiful choice for self. This union of self, right? Hey, I just hear that. Hey, and then I'm hearing the song. Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her. Right? Don't save her. She said, "What I look like, Superwoman?" Yeah. What? Right? And again, that would make sense. Don't save her. Don't save him. Right? No, if you take care of you and I take care of me and I make sure I'm good and you make sure you good, now I ain't got your burden, you ain't got my burden, I ain't got no ninja and no ninja ain't got me. Now we can work together. Now I'm seeing that Riri short where she's saying that to ASAP and he like, really, this the type of time we on? Then you saying you ain't got no ninja. Oh, God. And I know it's not ninja, but I'm refusing to say the other word. Not because, I mean, I am of color myself. But, you know, yeah, I just believe, yeah, I've matured and there's some things that, yeah, I'm trying to do better. Just because my culture and the way, you know, I'm used to talking, that doesn't mean that that's what I need to keep up. But anyway. Oh, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. So then I pulled 3 other cards here. Plus, I'm a grandmom now. I'm trying to be responsible. I want to show good, examples to my grandbabies who are beautiful black babies. So, anyway. And the first one that came out was influence, then productivity, and then space, right? And I don't know, when I just looked at loss of termination, I just heard influencer, right? So I don't know, is there a way you can be an influencer but without getting wrapped up in that hustle culture? Again, looking for ways. There's people who throw maybe 4 workshops or retreats a year and make a significant amount of money in those retreats that they really don't have to work, and they might throw them on a quarterly basis, and then maybe intersperse those, like I said, pre-recorded workshops, then those ebook, like downloadable things, and that can be beautiful ways to not overexert yourself but still be an influencer. I love the cycle of the moons, right? There's something about working with the moon cycles too here, right? Yeah, right. Going back to the signs are all around you. Remember I told you, it reminded me, and even in here it says it here, remember? It says it here, listen, signs are all around you. It always reminds me of the Quran, and that, look, and pay attention to the signs. The moon is giving us signs. There's a message there, right? When you flow with the waxing and waning of the moon, there is a story it's telling us there, right? It's letting us know the new moon, when to set seeds, to plant seeds for manifestation, right? The full, then when they're waxing and the intention that we take towards them to then bring them to culmination. And then after that, the waning and how we then begin to rest and release, right? Like there's oh God, just so good, right? Yes, right? And yeah, that you can influence, right? And I'm hearing that, and still stay in sync and in the zone with Earth, with the planets, with the systems. I call y'all my sun moon familia, right? My family, right? That's my name. That's my gang, my sun moon. Because to me, there's this balance, right? It has to be both. Right? This light, this shadow, this feminine, this masculine, call it the yin yang twins, call it whatever you want, right? This sun, this moon, this earth is not the earth that it would be, and we would not be living, not the plants, not the animals, not the humans, not this earth without the sun. The sun provides heat, food, oxygen. That's how we here. The moon then is what holds the gravity, right? It keeps us at a certain tilt. If we didn't have the moon holding that real thing, we'd be spinning and hours would really be there. Like, could be chaos, and we would freeze to death too, in both aspects, without the sun and without. So there's this balance, right? This homeostasis, this synergy, this symbiosis. Like, stop it, right? Yes. For what? For productivity, right? And picture that. Picture that. Look at how oxymoronic that may sound to somebody. I'm influencing on some chill shit, like talking to birds, right? Y'all went to bust on me earlier, probably called me the little pigeon lady, little bird lady, because I said I went to call the birds. But while I'm talking to birds, chilling, I'm actually influencing and actually being productive without being entangled by pose for the gram and hustle. I was thinking about just now about Riri. You don't see Riri touring or nothing no more. She enjoying ASAP. She enjoying those babies. She got Savage Fenty. She got the little makeup now, the little hairline now, the little lingerie and all that, the little aerobics, and that make passive, just making money for her now. That's what I'm talking about. And she says, I'm enjoying my babies. Like, we should all be able to enjoy life like that. Look, even in this picture. And look, not for nothing, that baby looks sad. Right? Now, and it came out in the middle with this baby. Like, this baby looks sad. Looking back, not fulfilling his childhood dream. Because I saw these balloons almost like the releasing of their dreams. Each stage it had to grow up. right? Losing each stage, another innocence, another dream, another, right? Because this world starts beating you down, telling you all kinds of shit. Remember, we used to believe in fairies and talk to birds and jump into everything and shit until before it get beat out of you. You know what I mean? And look, she said, right? Work, 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 work. You know what I mean? Oh, how can we do? Look, and then space. Give me a second here. I just heard fire, right? I don't know her. But space. Because I'm thinking of space, like outer space, planetary space, right? Bigger. I don't know, because now I'm seeing this contrast between the two, right? This is very earthbound, and then this is very ethereal, very space, right? It's beautiful how all of these colors look. Are you picking this up? They all mesh, like flow into each other. Very vibrant. I don't know now. I just heard, yeah, the ability to be able to flow into space, to vibe, to chill. I don't know. I just heard I got 5 on. I'm not endorsing nobody. I'm not telling nobody what to do. No, I do not do. No, it's okay. I can care about sex less. But yeah, allowing like this freedom for space, right? This space to create, to flow, right? Because that's like creative power there, right? As opposed to here, it's like entangled. Right? Where was the spider? Yeah, it's in the same column, right? Entangled. Produce, productivity. No, new assets that allow you to space out. When I just heard blessings on blessings on blessings. And when he said, Big Sean says, I'm allowed to plan it out. That's one of his verses. Yeah, man. Then the last oracle cards. Thank you, Lord. I don't know how long. I'll check the camera. But it was beauty, growth, and surrender. What do you want to say, Spirit? The beauty of just being, right? Of just allowing, right? Of just flowing, right? After you give up this space, you could just be the beauty of all of this, of just allowing. I'm doing a video. So, and then this is the waning gibbous moon, right? Where after we planted that seed and now we're looking forward to its fruition. But look, it's like a softness to it, right? Look, she's relaxed, she's flowing, right? She's not pressed about nothing. Look at the difference, right? We go from here to here. Look, and look how, we go to her carrying all these flowers and have her bent over on her back to where she's now the flower. Like, look, she's a part of this thing. Like, that's how light she feels now. Hey. We're at 7 p.m. Friday, 95 degrees. Yes, right? Yes. And the fact that, and this is what's so beautiful, the fact that in this lightness, there's still, like, look, all of this growth. Look, that's a nest. Look, fertile growth. And look, there's a clock there. I just heard there's still time. There's always time, right? Because I think that's another, look, right over the productivity, right? You time, go. You got to move, right? And just surrender. right? Surrender, right? Don't be held up by those quote unquote, right, specifications, qualifications, rules, expectations, right? No, just surrender. I just heard, I surrender all, right? There's a gospel song, I surrender all. But look how beautiful that is, right? And that's during the waning moon. And that is true. During the waning moon, we surrender, right? We release, we let go. So it was very significant, something about flowing with the moon cycles. Pay attention. Listen, Linda. Listen. And yeah, that was it. I did the bibliomancy. I did the cards that I was called to pull for you. Oh, the rune. And last but not least, the rune, which is giving. It's like the... I don't know why this doesn't want to stand up. This rune card is for me is a signifier of, the rune for me is dictating what is to be expected. What direction are we moving forward into? And this was the beautiful, look, success, victory, right? You can just see it by looking at it. But when I actually looked up Wunjo, the rune meaning, because of course I didn't memorize them. I don't know them off the top of my head. Give me 1 second because I have it here somewhere. But as you can see, I don't know. She reminds me of like a Beyonce, but she also reminds me, and I'm showing my age here, of a Celia Cruz, Cuban singer, Asheo, may she rest in peace. And she was infamous, right? In her costumes and her dress and everything. So the Wunjo is a rune that symbolizes joy, happiness, and well-being, right? There is something about your well-being, right? Right? About moving from this, right? And this stiffness to your dreams, right? It represents the reward at the end of a journey. Oh man, I mean, or the realization of a wish. I can't make this ish up, yo. Yes, the realization, right? For some of us, it is literally realizing that wish that we had once we were youngins, right? When we were just little ones. It is also linked to harmony and peace, right? That's what I was talking about. I want harmony and peace. I don't want to feel like this just to look like this. It's not worth it to me. I don't know about nobody else. Both within oneself and with others. Yo, back to the channeling messages about symbiosis, homeostasis, synergy, right? That it is bigger. Like it begins is to do it with ourselves, right? Where is it? Right? This choice to be God. Y'all see it. But so that we can collaborate, right? With self, others. The runes associated with Freya, the Norse goddess of love, beauty, and fertility. Stop playing. Which, that's beauty. And we also got that oracle card, the beauty card. And with the tribal flag that unites people under one common banner. I'm done. The rune stems from the Proto-Indo-European word for desire or love. But one banner, right? Right? Render to Caesar what belongs to... No, render to God what belongs to God. And you belong to God. Everything belongs to God. We all belong to God. That's what you listen. That's my disclaimer, right? Right? This is beautiful. Yes, common unity. Under a common banner. Remember, because that's what synergy was about. Getting together with this synergy was that we can all take all the sums of the different parts to bring them together for the common goodness of the whole. Right? I mean, what else can I say? I just heard booyaka. I don't know. I was told to bring out La Bochinchera. I don't even know how many minutes. If you're here, you're here. If you clicked off, you clicked off. There's nothing I can do. But this is my mini bochinchera. She's much, oh, my nose is itching. Yeah, she's much thicker than this. But when I went to go pick her up, this flipped open up automatically by itself. And it said, you look expensive as F. No designer necessary. All aura. Right? So again, that would, to me, be speaking to that very card again. Where she go? Right? Here feel like she got all designer on, right? You looking expensive as F. And look, you got on just a little bronze panties on with some feathers on your back. It's your aura though, man. Look at that. Look at that orange. Look at that green. Look at that turquoise. Like, it's beautiful. Right? Hey. Oh. So I heard that may be for somebody reading up on you, trying to dig dirt, doing the research. I don't know. La bochinchera is the Spanish phrase for the gossiper. In Spanish, we say, oh, she a bochinchera or he a bochinchero. Oh, yeah, you got the T, the bochinche. So I'm hearing just for the heck of it to just do a couple real quick. I ain't got no ninja, and no ninja ain't got me. Hey, wait, hold on. I'm gonna spray it. Clear the energy from before. I heard cut it. I ain't got time. I will be obedient. Yes. Let's see what La Bochinchera want to tell us. Now, what bochinche I want to let us know? What's the T? What's the bochinche? Uncomfortable conversations with a black man, Emmanuel Aiko. So that's the, I think that's the sports writer. So maybe some of you are going to have uncomfortable conversations with a brother. Maybe it has to do with some of the stress or stressing less. Right? What else? Bochinchera. What else? What else do you want to say? No, what else? Bochinchera. Speaking with a forked tongue. Timothy 3:8 gossip. So it was a phrase that the American Indians would say towards white men, that they lie. That's interesting. So we have black men, white men lie. Interesting. Uncomfortable conversations. So I don't know. Be careful. I don't know. For some, there may be something to do with race. Just be mindful. What else? Bochinchera. Oh, that. Yeah, they said touche. Yeah. There's something there with that. So, be mindful of you speaking with a forked tongue, not being straight up and honest. Be mindful of somebody trying not to be faithful and honest with you. Be faithful. Be faithful. That's interesting. About when you have this conversation with this brother not speaking with a forked tongue, or this brother speaking with a forked tongue towards you. Yeah, look, relationships are not just transactional. # dick, drugs, and dollars, right? So that card, when I made it, is just basically of that mentality that a lot of the times we grow up with, thinking that, relationships are transactional, right? And they involve usually D, drugs, and dollars, right? I'm thinking of Core's Peach Snapple when he says, no, I just don't connect with y'all. It's sex involved, it's hoes involved, it's checks involved, it's hoes involved, it's sex involved, right? Yeah, he's saying he don't F with them because that's what the relationship is all about. Hoes, sex, and checks. You know what I'm saying? You caring about my dollars. the female, you know, yeah. So there's something there. So maybe in this conversation, making sure of that, and then somebody's co-workers trying to set you up, beware, but know that it don't work again. So now I'm hearing Beanie Siegel. Yeah, I still go around the block while I'm parking, double the block, spin around the block while I'm parking. I'm not scared, I'm just cautious, right? So it's just letting you know not to be scared, you know, just be cautious, you know, just be aware that they are some co-worker is trying to set something up. I never knew love like this before. Self-love, oneness, love, or from another. The bridge home, 1988, Stephanie Mills. Oh, when I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home, I wish I was back there. And this was a significant year in my life. I'm not sharing more about that, but and I never knew love like this before. So it was this whole era where I was learning to love myself and getting back to home, and home being specifically one, it was a literal place at the time for me because of where I was at, but also this oneness within myself, right? This sense of home, right? This nostalgia of getting back to that childhood dream of this little girl getting back to herself, right? Yeah, it's here, right? I refuse to spend the rest of my life in a cage of fear. That's from the movie Blaze of Glory. Maybe somebody needs to watch that, or that's a quote. But yeah, maybe this fear of, you know, the way you normally see relationships as transactions, the way you see money and accomplishments. Remember, she was all like for the gram and hustle and all this, right? It's maybe having a deep conversation. Maybe you are with a brother, you was in a relationship with a brother where you need to have that conversation, not speak with a forked tongue, be straight up and honest, right? Understanding now that relationships are not just yeah, my nose just, it's the right? And again, this whole thing about when I do this self-love, then I can do this oneness, then I can love from another as well, right? And how imperative it is, right, that you plant those seeds now to move forward, because it is going to be depend on your future generations, dog. Like, yeah, it's serious. I'm hearing like, let's do one more. These all flew out. I'm not used to gonna take. I am not a basic bitch. Okay, that's how they say it ended. I am not a basic bitch. And look, it came back up. Reading up on you, trying to dig up dirt, doing the research. Remember, that was the first one that popped out, and I said, well, maybe it was just there. And yeah, and the reason why, because you look expensive as fuck, no designer necessary, all aura, and people are trying to figure it out. And I just heard, I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. Hey, right? Blessings on blessings on blessings on blessings. Yes, but it is contingent on how you're going to move. What seeds are you going to be planting, right? Do not be fooled. God is not mocked. That what you sow, that you shall reap. And that goes for anybody else who's digging up dirt on you, I just heard, and who's trying to set you up and shit. That's why they saying don't worry about it. It won't work. No weapon, touche, formed against me shall prosper. It won't work. And on that note, I heard close it out. I love you, my Sun Moon fam. Familia for life. You hear me? Amen, Ashe, and Amen. Until next time, beloved.